Alrighty, guys, welcome back. It's your boy EQ, and up next we have Joe Budden responding to T-Pain's claims that Drake should retire. Now, a lot of OVHOites are trying to make it about T-Pain being jealous, but he was stating facts because at the end of the day, I don't think anyone wants to get dragged out of their respective industry. I feel like most people would love to retire on their own terms and on top, but that's usually not the case with most people not recognizing when it's time to hang them up. And like T-Pain said himself, it was Drake that said the very same thing. Pride and ego is definitely something that has led to many downfalls. And to the cult of the OVHOites, no one is saying that Drake's career is dead and done. Logical people aren't saying that. He's obviously the most streamed, but that's definitely due to his extensive back catalog. I mean, Eminem is in the same boat, top 3 in streaming, but what's the last hit he's had? And recall it without Googling. But that streaming success doesn't necessarily mean that his perception is as good as you guys think, as it once was, because this past year alone has definitely affected his stock, and you'd be delusional to think otherwise. Even pre-beef, it's been a minute since he actually had a #1 that lasted longer than a week, 2018 to be exact. So enough dilly-dallying, let's jump right into the video, where we have Joe Budden responding to T-Pain's claim that Drake should retire. Sometimes people call it the messenger, even though the message makes sense. Even in sports, superstars sometimes are the last one to believe they should retire. Coming from Joe Budden, he's also speaking from experience, because look how lucrative his pivot has been. We all saw when it was exposed that he's making 900 grand a month off his Patreon, and that's just Patreon. Maybe Drake should do some listening and stop thinking that he has all the answers, because this last year has proven he does not.
25% of people view Drake differently after that battle. Even if you want to up that percentage to 35, let's call it 65-35. 35 people that may view Drake differently. If Drake loses 40% of who Drake was, then
damn, even 20% is a huge hit.
nigga, that's still Drake, and you still got to deal with him. He's still gonna sell records.
I don't think the number's that high, by the way.
I don't think so
by the
either.
way.
I think they fickle.
Yeah, in terms of actual, like, I'm going to listen to or purchase.
While casual fans are definitely fickle, one can't deny all one has to really do is just look around the internet and check the temperature of the room, something that obviously Drake has not done with some of the things he's said and done over this past year. But I truly don't think this bad perception that people have about Drake has ever been as loud as it is now.
Or go to a show or whatever. I don't think that probably impacted
I don't think he budgets for him really.
the battle. Yeah, I don't think so.
He's 100% seen differently by
For
sure.
that's not
people.
true, bro. Yeah,
The perception might be different.
He hasn't dropped that Drake hit
When he
yet.
drops
Yeah, but has he really dropped that hit? At least the type of hit that he and UMG are used to getting? Because there was a time when a Drake #1 would be #1 for months at a time. And this last go around, he obviously failed to go #1, obviously due to Kendrick, but he's definitely not viewed as he once was.
perception was damage was done. I don't want to get back into last year. Damage was done.
I agree.
With that said,
Significant damage.
yeah.
That ish? A moment of lucidity.
With that said, he's still Drake. He's still gonna sell records. He's still gonna be #1. Niggas are still gonna listen. He's still gonna tour. He's still gonna create his own path because, like I said, ain't nobody been.
Nobody did
And
this.
nobody's been at this level. On the flip side of that, niggas that hate you are gonna hate you. And there's nothing you can do about that. So if that's T-Pain, if that's me.
But yeah, you could say the same thing for LeBron or Michael Jordan. There comes a time where everyone eventually gets replaced.
If that's whoever it is and that impacts their commentary, then I don't want to hear Drake respond every time he thinks somebody is saying something out of shade. If you want to do it, cool. But he should be on a mission right now. And it's
Get some hits strung together.
I think the 21 album is fire. I think that the Party album is fire. Like, I call him on a little lightweight run. It ain't the Drake run that we know it to be.
Drake, though. Yeah,
it ain't the Drake run we know it to be because he's doing all this Playboy Cardi, all this other. It's just this. He's in the listen. Let people
I think he's
design.
fighting.
He just comes off as extremely salty and bitter. Instead of changing people's perception by stringing together some hits and some dope music, he seems to just be resorting to things that just make him look like more of a sore loser. If you are at the top, you're always going to have a target, and you would think by now he would have been used to that. T-Pain is not the first person to call him out. And if you truly think you're going to go to battle with everyone that's ever said anything bad about you, it's going to be a very long night.
I think he's fighting to have something stick to the wall.
If nothing sticks to the wall, he's still Drake, and you got to deal with him.
I don't think he thinks that.
Well, that's different.
You get what I'm saying?
Well, that's
I
different.
think
He wants to still be that guy. He doesn't want to coast on his back catalog because we have seen Drake drop record after record, and really the only things that have really stuck is Nokia and like one other record on that Party Next Door collaborative album. And I honestly think Drake is afraid. What happens next? What does he do? He doesn't seem like the type of person that has really given that too much thought because he's still so bothered over this. And it seems like even him pivoting to streaming into that world obviously hasn't worked because every time he hops in one of these streams, the chat is literally a stream of L's and other negative comments.
Reclaim his spot. And I'm not mad at that. I don't think if that's how he feels internally, then who the fuck is T-Pain to tell him ride off into the sunset?
Yeah, I don't know if
Outside everybody saying that.
creatives and
It's advice. If
musicians specifically can have to ever feel like they need to retire. They rarely don't. So, you know what I mean?
they could pull like a Jay-Z who's retired, but every once in a while you do get a Jay feature, you get a Jay verse. Even right now, there are rumors that there's a possible Jay-Z album on the way, but effectively the dude is retired. It's different from sports where your body can't handle the pressure anymore. It's art, and if you are inspired to create, then yeah, by all means. I mean, we have people like the Rolling Stones and other iconic bands that have never stopped performing, but the thing is, people don't want to hear those new records. They're there for the classics, and right now I don't think Drake wants to rely on the classics. And you can't say that the guy just needs to keep putting out music because that's all he's been doing. He's just been putting out stuff that obviously has not been sticking.
Jay-Z have an album.
Yeah, but there's something to be said for how you retire.
True.
Like, a Kobe retirement is still a Kobe retirement, and it's reserved for the greats. And Drake
That's
is a
what
great.
we're talking about.
Yeah.
We talk Father Time plays a part in the Kobe retirement.
But how you're...
Father Time don't play a part in Drake retirement. But I don't have to retire.
No.
But the music still has to connect to people. The people still have to, at least if you're going to have the same success that you've been accustomed to. Because while I'm a firm believer that you can't tell somebody how to create, you can't tell them when to create, but when you do put your art out for public consumption, you're putting it out there not only for the praise, but also for the criticism.
The perception of the retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's talking about that. So if Drake sailed off into the sunset on his own terms, he can give you one album every 4 or 5 years, right? By all intents and purposes, he's retired, right?
That would
That
be,
deal.
but he's very much active.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
He's
still out here.
He's
Dropped like 20 records, just features over the last year.
near retirement from what it seems, if I'm just reading the tea leaves. And when he decides to retire, there will be the parade down 34th Street.
I think so.
It ain't many rappers active right now that's getting the parade. I know all of y'all think that your shit don't stink. All of y'all ain't gonna get a farewell. It's like Draymond told fucking Paul Pierce, nigga. You ain't Kobe.
A lot of times, most of the
And Paul Pierce was definitely a great player, but yeah, he's not on Kobe's level.
rappers are the last one to find out that they retired
Yeah,
too.
when Paul Pierce last season, that game in Boston in Golden State. At the free throw line, Draymond was on the bench saying, you ain't Kobe. We ain't jacking this whole...
Again, I don't think there was nothing wrong in the message that T-Pain was trying to convey. I mean, like you said, Drake himself was saying the very same thing. And it's not just rappers that suffer through the whole, I don't know when to retire. Literally anyone in any field. But Drake can't act like he's the one that hasn't been doing the most to tarnish his reputation. Yeah, he lost the beef. People are going to have their jokes. People are going to make fun about it. People are obviously going to cook you for it for the rest of your career. You're always going to be connected to Kendrick Lamar. But if you are showing week in and week out how bothered you are, and you're doing all these sassy things to try to get your get back instead of just focusing on making the best art possible, because honestly, a lot of this stuff really hasn't felt too inspired coming from Drake. It's almost like he's just going through the motions and just trying to get something to stick with no actual thought out intent behind it. At that point, you're just trying to win $1 million off a scratch-off ticket. I know a ton of the OVHOites are trying to say that T-Pain is just jealous. Even Drake himself went out and said that T-Pain has always had resentment towards him, but that still doesn't change the fact that T-Pain does have a point. Most people would love to go out on their own terms. They would love to come out on top, win the championship, and ride off into the sunset. But again, most people don't realize when it is time to do that. A big criticism of Drake's music over the past few years was the fact that he hasn't evolved. He's still talking about the same things he was talking about 15 years ago now. And yeah, people want to bring up other artists, but we're not talking about those artists. We're talking about Drake right now. So all those whataboutisms are definitely, for me, just deflection. And even if Drake doesn't want to bow out gracefully, which at this point, honestly, I think it's a little too late for that. Definitely let me know in the comments if you guys think it's too late for him to bow out gracefully. I feel you can't do that after how ungraceful you have acted over the last year. Definitely going to have to do some work to try to change that. But it's definitely a very erroneous thought to think that Drake's stock has not taken a hit over the last year. Like I said, he's going to always be one of the biggest streaming artists out there. We can all look at somebody like an Eminem who hasn't had a hit since I don't know when, and he's always managed to be top 3 over the last decades. Honestly, since streaming was a thing. But definitely let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree with his take? And also, do you agree with T-Pain? And should Drake just bow out? To me, if he isn't going to do that, then he's going to have to put a little more work in trying to change people's perception, because at the end of the day, you're a public figure. And it doesn't matter what you're throwing out there if the people aren't gravitating towards you. So definitely let me know what you guys think. Definitely hit the like and subscribe button, guys. It does your channel wonders. I really want to thank you guys so much for continuing to make this channel a part of your day. It honestly means the world to me. And all the love and support that you guys continue to show this channel on a daily is honestly overwhelming and probably the biggest reason why I make these videos. I want to send a very big thank you to all those that have been joining the YouTube memberships. It's a small way to support the channel, but definitely goes a very long way. And a very big super thank you to all those that have been sending super thanks. Again, it does so much in supporting the channel, and I really want to let you guys know how grateful I am for all of it. So I'm definitely looking forward to your guys' take on all this. I could definitely see where you guys are going to be leaning towards, but definitely let me know what you guys think. Hope you guys love this video, and I hope to see you guys soon. Drake may not like the messenger, but he definitely has to do some self-evaluation. And he can probably do that over his favorite Merlot while he lights his favorite candle.